by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
We are going to have some very typical summertime weather right on into the 4th of July holiday weekend. In fact, we are going to hold the thunderstorms off until after the 4th, but we do have a few scattered thunderstorms possible late Saturday, Saturday night, and Sunday. Today, mostly sunny. We'll get to 88 for a high this afternoon. We may catch an isolated thunderstorm tonight, late tonight, our low 67 tomorrow. Sunny, high of 90. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Temperature now 84.
It is Wednesday. It is the noon hour. Time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. And here is your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Well, good afternoon, Tommy. Hello there, everybody. It's a beautiful day in June in Iowa, and I'm telling you, I'm always ready. It's called, in the real estate business, it's called RWA, Ready, Willing, and Able. Here I am today for Senior Talk. So glad you could join us on it says 82 degrees and up to 90. It's summer in Iowa, folks. It's a beautiful day out there. Get out and enjoy yourself for sure. Well, greetings and welcome to Senior Talk. Great day to be here with you and have you here with me on Senior Talk. And thanks for taking time out of your busy day. And to all those listening who are seniors and or senior gonna-bees. Nobody wants to be, I guess, unless you consider the alternative, obviously, but senior gonna-bees. I'll do my best, of course, every week to bring a lot of ideas that might cover important aspects of being or becoming a senior, and we'll take a little time for some history, which is what we do really, really good as seniors. We maybe not too good on last week or what we had yesterday or for lunch or anything like that, but we know what we did in 1957. That's a fact. So thanks for listening. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, and I'm a real estate broker, and I like to work with seniors, talk with seniors, meet with seniors, in real estate. Of course, any other subject's fine with me too, but that's what I do for a living. Is I'm in the real estate business, and I work mostly with seniors. I work with estates. I work with the executors. I work with the administrators of estates. I work with trust departments of banks. I meet with the seniors. I meet with the families of seniors all the time. And if you have a need, well, please give me a call. A senior line, as a matter of fact, 319-330-5534. That, once again, is 330-5534. Give me a call. I'll see if I can help you. Some cases I can't. Some cases I will refer you to someone in our office who might be better serve you. That's what I do. So at this point, why don't you do this? Why don't you get yourself a good place to eat and grab yourself a sandwich and an ice cold root beer, and let's see what we can cook up. And I might add that I've had some really, really good ice-cold root beer lately. I just want you folks to know that. It's really good stuff, and I enjoy it. So good old diet root beer is the best. Anybody listening will know what that means. There you go. Well, summer is here. It's hot and humid. Right outside the KCJJ studio, there's a big cornfield, of course, and it's just starting to tassel. Some of that corn is tasseling, which means I don't see in that field going to be detasselers. But, God, how many of you detasseled corn once in a while in your life? Yeah. What a rotten job, man. That's a tough job. But anyhow, it's starting to tassel, so we're right in the middle of a summer in Iowa. Wow. And if you think it's hot, all I ask you to do is think back to like January the 17th when it was 10 below zero and you didn't want to get out of your car and you couldn't find your gloves and you wanted to run over to pick something up at the store or the post office. You really didn't want to pull your car over there because it's icy. Remember those days when you worry about a day like this. Wow. My wife and I, we are on a little road trip over the weekend. We visit our favorite roadside fruit and garden stand over the weekend, not far from Iowa City. And the guy pointed to his huge sweet corn patch, and he said to us, "It's looking great." He said, "Really, really looking great." So next Friday, which will be day after tomorrow, he says, "I'll be picking the first batch." And he has it planted in big rows, big splotches. I'm going to say 10 rows wide and 100 or 200 feet long. He's got a ton of it. And so it's 3 different stages, so he'll have sweet corn for a long time. What is better in Iowa than fresh tomatoes and sweet corn? Nothing is better than that. I look forward to that for the weekend. Well, you think about being a senior, and if you want to talk to a senior and say, "How you doing?" That's not really the good question, because immediately the senior will, I was doing good until my back started hurting, and then, I tripped and fell 2 weeks ago, and blah, blah, blah. Well, What more could go wrong for a senior friend of mine? He went on one of his annual. He goes up a couple times up to Canada a couple times a year with his usual gang just a few weeks ago. And this time, he's a senior for sure. He stumbled in the boat and hit his hand and his wrist area. Well, over the next 3 days, it got worse. It swelled up, and he had headaches, and it hurt like heck, and all those kinds of things. So he got back here at home, and he went to the doc, and the doctor looked at it and said, well, you did a good job. Now we're going to have some surgery. Huh. So torn tendons and more, all kinds of stuff. And, folks, he did that while he was fishing. So so just think of the bad luck we can have if we're trying to be mobile and do some things. Wow. So look out. I will give you a little hint, personal hint here, is that I had some vision issues, and my friend IDoc, he said, well, you're a sitting duck and a good suspect for cataract surgery. So earlier this spring, I had cataract surgery. And I heard a lady talking yesterday. She said she's worried about her eyesight. Things are a little cloudy and things like that. And I said, you're going to be in a cataract surgery. She said, well, yeah, the doctor says that. I said, well, don't be afraid of it, which is I'm saying to you now. Don't be afraid of it. The procedure is absolutely painless, harmless, and the outcome is wonderful. I don't even need the glasses I wear, but I like the glasses that it's a little correction for up close, of course, but I do like I have the glasses that tint automatically. I really like those. Now, my wife had the same setup, and she doesn't like those glasses, so she's on her own, always has to scramble for sunglasses. So if you've never tried these automatic, I call them automatic glasses. I don't know what the heck they're called. They work for me. This is my second or third pair. So yeah, my buddy who went fishing hurt his arm. Now I had to have some surgery. Not good. Well, in today's world, many of my longtime friends and actually some classmates are having health issues. And like I say, if you want to talk to some seniors, you'll hear about back problems and emerging and ongoing cancer issues, hip and knee issues, and replacement plans. It's never ending. A good friend of mine was sitting out in front of his house the other night. I stopped in. He was sitting there in a lawn chair, and I said, how's it going? And right off the bat, we talked Iowa football, Iowa baseball, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I don't know if we're going to get to go to Florida this winter. I said, well, why not? He said, I got to have a knee repaired. And he says, as long as I'm in there, I'm thinking about they're both in trouble. Maybe I'll just have them both done. I said, well, be double. You have it all done at once, but double the pain. He said, yeah, but it'll only be through one episode. I'm not sure I want to go do it and then go back in and have it again. I said, well, I totally understand that. And I've had a lot of friends do it both ways. I've had, people just get one done and then go back and have the other, and they go back like screaming and yelling because they don't want to go through the pain again. So I can't give you any update other than that. It's your personal choice. I would figure out before you do the double one, I would certainly figure out your ability to have somebody wait on your hand and foot. A way to get to the restroom. It might not be at your house. You might go to a bounce back place, a senior independent living place where they handle people like that. A lot of guys or ladies too are kind of bigger, and if they would trip and fall, their spouse can't get them up off the floor. You got to call the ambulance or the sheriff or police department, blah blah blah, things like that. So investigate that, absolutely for sure, and investigate your PT and what you have to do, what they expect you to do. They don't let you sit around and say, well, I'll sit here and eat bonbons all day. Maybe it'll get better. You got to get up and march around and stuff like that. So it can be grueling. I understand that. I have not had it done, but I have lots and lots of friends, and the end game is great. A month later or 6 weeks later, they're out almost like nothing happened. But in that 6 weeks, man, they're hanging on to everything they can, walkers and canes and back of the chairs. Because they got to keep going, keep walking to exercise. And another tip for you is do not overdo it. You can't rush it. It takes Father time to repair it. So there you go. So, I feel badly for anybody who's undergoing some issues right now. If it's age related, that's part of the deal. That's the sad part of the whole deal. So hang in there, folks. And if you really want to talk about some people and their things, there are support groups for about back problems, knee problems, cancer problems, all kinds of different issues. There are some great support groups around town, that's for sure. Well, a nice senior lady says to me, we have lived in our house for 45 years. Well, kids were raised here. We are still here and have no plans to move. All right? I want to say, how do you expect me as a realtor to make a living if you don't move? Never mind, I would say. So we are wondering about this home inspection stuff. Should we do this? And by the way, what exactly do they do? Well, here's the deal. When you buy a house, if you're going to buy a house, you want to check the box and tell your real estate agent that you'd like to have a home inspection. And home inspection is anywhere from, for the standard home, anywhere from $450 to $750, long in there. That would catch it. At the buyer's expense. All right. It's the buyer's expense to have it inspected. And while you're doing that, depending on your home, you would also have a radon test. Make sure it doesn't have radon, and that's another $125 to $150. So you're going to have a less than $1,000 wrapped up to find out, to give this house you're looking at a physical. All right. And you'll get a report back anywhere from 20 to 30 pages long with pictures of bad stuff, comments on good things that are okay, comments on things that are not bad. But these inspectors, who now have to be part of an association as of July 1, yesterday, now have to be a part of a professional group and with some things behind their name showing that they're qualified, type of thing. That started just yesterday, as a matter of fact. They come to your house, and I'm telling you, folks, they're on the roof. They look in the chimneys, down the chimneys, take off the electric box. They open up all underneath the sinks and put their hands back behind the P-trap behind it. They run the water. They flush the toilets. The lights. They do just a zillion things. They put a level out to see if the house is sinking to the east or sinking to the west. They go in the basement. They look for moisture. They look for mold. It is an official white glove treatment. They turn on each burner of the stove. They run the dishwasher. They check out the temperature in the refrigerator where it's set at. They look in the furnace. Now, they are a jack of all, master of none in most cases. They're a jack of all trades, master of none, but they point these things out. So if they find a problem with the water meter, has a valve, a gate valve that won't, usually a gate valve opens, but a different valve that won't open, they'll draw attention to that. They might say we've got what they call a double tap in the breaker box. And in other words, the electrician whoever wired the house ran 2 into 130 amp service, get 2 of them in there. That's not copacetic anymore. They point all these things out. They're not going to fix it. They can't fix it. They're restricted by law. They can't do it. So they point them out, and then you go from there. So back to the lady's question: should we have this done? And my answer to it is this. You lived there 45 years, and you probably, hopefully, I don't know this, you've made your attempts to keep the place looking nice, being nice, livable, obviously. So you think everything's fine, and that's the key word. You think everything is fine. I would recommend that you have a home inspection on your own home. Yeah. You can call your mom. My neighbor's a contractor. I have him come over. Well, your neighbor's a contractor, but is he a plumber? Is he a radon guy? Run a radon test? Is he an electrician? Is he any of these things? Well, no, he's a contractor. He builds houses. Well, that's not the guy I think you should call. You need to call, and you can call me. I'll give you some names. I won't point them out. I have nothing to do with them. They don't give me $20 or anything like that. Just give you some names. So I would do that. You will learn a lot about your own house. You absolutely will. And so they'll just uncover issues. They find it. There will be issues. I'll guarantee you that. Absolutely. Even brand new houses. People have brand new houses inspected. They find lots of things. They just do. So that's what this is. I'm really proud of this lady for doing that. They'll look for access for rodents in the house, settling or foundation issues, and about this thing. You don't have to move, but you should become aware of the things in your own house. That's the good part. So the answer is yes. Have your home inspected, especially when she said 45 years. That doesn't mean they've kept things up. They've kept it painted and kept new carpet, but that doesn't mean they've paid any attention to the basement walls, foundation walls, moisture, things like that. All right. A senior man has told me, I don't know what to do with some money. Huh? Well, I laughed. Well, I do. And he said, here's the deal. He said, I inherited a pretty good sum of money, and he says, I'm just not sure. He says, we really don't need what I inherited, so I thought maybe I could do something for our 4 grandkids. Well, isn't that a nice idea? He and his wife don't particularly need the money, however much it is. It sounded to me like it was if you will, a couple $100,000. It was not $2,700. It was a lot of money. I said, this is the perfect opportunity for you to go see a financial planner. Now, he said, well, maybe do something for the grandkids, all right? So I don't know how old they are, but that could maybe a long-term investment for them, or do they need a house for cash for a tuition or buying a house? So you need a plan. That's the best thing. There are some really nice college savings plans, college plan around. There's all kinds of things that are set up just for people like this. Absolutely. So this guy is gonna. I gave him a couple names, and I said, you give them a call. You give one of them. I gave him 2 or 3 names. You give one of these people a call and ask them what they call vehicles. What vehicles are out there for you to accomplish your goals? And once you talk to these people, they'll ask you things like, how old are they? Do they need money to go to college? Are they trying to get into a trade school? Do they have their own home? All those type of things. They'll ask you that. And so it's a good time to sit down. If you're going to do this, do it right and do it legal, and everybody will be happy, especially those grandkids, for God's sake. Well, in the past couple weeks, I have to tell you that I've heard several stories, one even this morning, about relatives or friends of mine, people who have family and or friends who died with no will. And folks, this isn't really funny. This isn't something, well, I got to get to it. Well, we've got to do that. You're looking at each other right now. We've got to do that. Well, saying it and doing it are two different things, and it's just not good. The guy says, my uncle died with no will, and it has created a huge fight amongst the family. Another guy tells me, my brother died, and he left no will, and his wife is having a heck of a time trying to figure things out. Left no instructions, nothing. So she's working with the attorney and things like that. People don't take the time. They don't take the responsibility. They don't take the idea that this is very, very important. It doesn't have to be a 27-page thing. It could be a 1-page or a 2-page thing. You write down, and here's what I want to do. First of all, if you're married, one way or the other, man or woman, you leave everything to your husband, leave everything to your wife. You can also denote, I want $1,000 to go to the Iowa City Elks Lodge. I'm just picking something out. To the church, whatever it might be. You have that time to do that. But if you don't do that, there are issues. Now, you live by yourself and you don't have a will. Now the courts are going to get involved. Well, the last thing old Bob wanted was the state of Iowa telling him where some of his money's going to go. Well, that's what's going to happen because old Bob didn't take the time to go down on his own volition, under his own foot power, and get this done when he was feeling good. So don't delay, folks. Call an attorney. Call me. I'll give you 2 or 3 names. Call an attorney. Make sure they work with wills and estates and things like that. And do this right, for God's sake. They actually work with you. They'll give you a guide sheet saying, but before we sit in front of you and ask you your age and ask you your Social Security number, they'll give you a guide sheet to figure out so you don't take all that time. They're thinking about you, for sure. So do that. I'm just one realtor, and I get involved in a lot of this stuff. I just think of the attorneys in town who deal with these things every day. It's what keeps them in business, for God's sake. That's the true story. All right. A good friend of mine died and left nothing, no paperwork, anything, and now the family's trying to figure things out. What a shame. He sure is not anybody's favorite anymore. So this guy says his good friend died and left nothing as far as tips, pointers, a will, no paperwork, anything. Now the family is trying to figure things out. The family, this guy left his family in the dark. Now I'm going to guess that's his wife and a couple kids or, stuff like that, his family. And no, because old Bob, he was too busy, whatever heck he's doing, all right, fishing or whatever he does. He's too busy to get organized, take the responsibility. And he said he's sure not anybody's favorite anymore. Wow, that's not good. Say, I've got a little bit of news here for you. That early indications, the raise in Social Security starting next January with the payment will be 2%. Now, that's not much, and that's not official, and it won't be official till October. But I was reading an article over the weekend, and I said, oh, boy, big deal. So a 2% raise, if you're getting $1,000, you'll get $1,020. If you get $2,000, you'll get, what's 2 times 2 is $2,040. That type of thing. It's not, yes, inflation is more than that. Yes, but however, inflation is lower, and inflation is rolling back. That is for sure. Gas prices are down. There are a lot of good things going on. Some bad things too, but there are lots of good things going on. So I'll never laugh at a raise of anyone who wants to give me more for doing the same things I do every day, and this they want to give me more for what I paid in. I'll take it. All right. A senior man / listener and friend of mine heard me talk last week about a garage sale and how I went to a garage sale and there was a kid selling lemonade, which is a true story. And he said, he talked about a garage sale. He said, here's what, can I give you my 2 cents worth about a garage sale? I said, yeah, you bet. He said, here's what he said. He said, a garage sale, I like this. He said, a garage sale is a friendly, casual, half-organized, low-cost event created to transfer the ownership of our junk to become your junk. You not only pay, but you haul it away. So there you go. That hit the nail on the head. And he said, actually, Rex, that came out of my own pea brain. A garage sale is a friendly, casual, halfway organized, low-cost event created to transfer the ownership of our junk to become your junk. And you not only pay something for it, you actually haul it away. What a deal that is. So that pretty well explains it. I totally agree with that. So, fireworks is going to happen this Friday, the state of Iowa. Long overdue, in my opinion. In fact, I think the fact that they made fireworks illegal for so long gave us the pent-up frustration. And so once they made it legal, then now they have to go back and refine it. Had they made it legal years ago, it wouldn't be the big deal it is now. So you can go in any street corner now. There are great big circus tents selling fireworks. More power to them. But when I was a kid back in the 50s and early 60s, starting about now on the 1st or 2nd of July, you could hear fireworks all over town. Now, I lived in Coralville, so you could hear fireworks from Iowa City. You could hear delayed cherry bomb type of, or bigger. Heard them all the time. Aerial bombs type of thing. And it went on and went on. Now the Iowa law says you can shoot not anything, illegal, but you could use fireworks on July the 3rd, which would be tomorrow, and July the 4th. And New Year's Eve, and I don't know if it's like it starts at 6 p.m. or something like that, but that's the only time. And the law also says that the city of Iowa City or Des Moines or Muscatine can't pass a law saying you can't do it at that time. Aha! So here comes the good old days of sonic booms in your yard. PTSD guys and women, feel for you. I don't know what to tell you. You'll have to deal with it somehow. It wasn't designed to cause you any more stress, but probably a byproduct of that. So that's what it is. So when I was a kid, the booms of fireworks and cherry bombs and M80s could be heard all across town, and then some starting in late June and into July. It was great. Now, this is just my opinion, folks. It was great. Our gang, we always had Yankee boys and black cats and strings of firecrackers that we would light and watch them and kind of listen for that machine gun effect. We were all in. Well, Rex, if they were illegal, where'd you get them? Well, we never rat anybody out, but a little trip to Missouri, we bought them legally. We did. And when we were younger, the dad of a neighbor of mine took us down there, or he went by himself and brought stuff home. Racketeering, I guess, or bootlegging. It is what it is, and we were no different than anybody else. It was fun. It wasn't legal, but it was truly, truly fun. Luckily, nobody ever got hurt in our group. We thought we knew when and how to keep a low profile, and that we did. Now, back in the day in Iowa City, Lower City Park was the place to be. That was the place to go. Aerial shows or ground effects, always ending with the American flag on the ground, the big American flag. Absolutely. That was the final coup de grace. The coup d'etat was the American flag. Thousands of people sat on that hillside. If you drive into Lower City Park, or just at the west end of the Park Road Bridge, the new Park Road Bridge, pull in there, and as you drive back there, that hillside right on your left, that was cram-packed with people. Thousands of people. Those trees weren't that big. They were trees, but not that big. And the event was a big, big deal, and it never started until dark, and then, boy, did they hammer it. And I'm telling you, I was in the JCs for many years, and I was part of that group down there that did that, and we absolutely hammered. We bought thousands and thousands of dollars. Remember, they used to walk through. Some places still do. They walk through with a bucket trying to put $5 in, which is great. Helps pay for the cost of the firework for sure. So, well, out in Coralville, I don't know where all they are around Johnson County. Coralville will have some, I think. Hills has some, maybe Solon. I'm not really sure. Oxford, maybe. So get out and enjoy it. It's a way of that. Our forefathers, it was designed for fireworks and parades and parties on the 4th of July, and this is just a reenactment of what they envisioned for our country. So go to it. So, even in that tornado in July 4th, 1953, which actually came from the west, as most of them do, it hopped across Lower City Park where all those people were, and people hid underneath the west end of the Park Road Bridge, which was an old iron superstructure back when I was a kid. This is the third bridge now. Third bridge since I was a kid. The people up in the north end of Iowa City, North Lynn, North Gilbert, up in there, got just pounded. Big trees down, cars smashed. Nobody got hurt. I think there was a broken arm, if I recall. I don't really remember. Windows that damaged, but nobody really got serious injury. It was a big deal. Scared the absolutely tar out of everybody. Absolutely. So the fireworks have always been a big deal in Iowa City. It was put on by the JCs, and it was a major event. Bring back those days for sure. Enjoy your small town fireworks and celebrate the 4th of July. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you retired as of June 30th or July 1st? Are you all done? Well, congratulations from me to you if you are. Lots of people are now done working because June 30th is the end of the fiscal year. So they're all done. That's it. Acme Company, I told you in May or a year ago I'm leaving. Got it all set up with HR. And the 30th, which is Monday was the last day. I'm done. After 37 years or 41 years here at the company, I'm done. What are you going to do, Bob? Well, I don't know. I'm going to go fishing. We're going to travel, the standard things. We're going to visit relatives, visit friends. All right. And then after that, what are you going to do? You don't even have to ask because they don't know. Well, I don't know. And that is the best answer. You don't know. Now, you can either retire from something, retire from that, or you can retire to something. In other words, you can retire from being with the company for 42 years and say, heck with that, I'm done. Or you can say, now that I'm done with that, I'm going to start in a month. I'm going to start over a new job. Or, I've always wanted to get in the part-time lawn mowing business, get myself a pickup truck and just go mow yards and be out in the fresh air. Well, a lot of people do that. More power to you. Whatever you decide to do, don't rush it. Just take your time because you've got a long way to go. If you're 65 and retiring, and if you've been there a long time, we'll just say that's the age. The planners would run your plan out to 95 years old, and therein lies the big deal. All right, therein lies the thing. Will your income last? If you're 65, will it last till you're 95? Now, odds are about 20% of the people will make it to 95. So the odds are your income won't have to last that long, but are you prepared to have an income that lasts basically forever? Through your investments, through income that you've created for yourself, whether it's real estate or other income, products you've purchased, will it last? That's what everybody wants to know. I'm retired, and I'm glad I'm retired. On the money I've got saved, I should be in good retirement shape until July the 9th. That type of thing, kind of a joke, but that's what they do. So that's the deal. So congratulations to you and the way you go. Do whatever you want and just enjoy doing it because it's all about you. You're the one that put in the time and stuff like that. I want to tell you a little bit about a power of attorney. And it's this Rex. You asked me recently if I had a power of attorney for my wife, and does she have one for me? She said, why would we need that? Well, this is a pretty interesting subject. Power of attorney is exactly what it said. Power, going to grant you the power of attorney. I gave my wife, true story, gave my wife the power of attorney many years ago. Went to our attorney, and he typed up, and I'd say typed up, whatever they put up on the computer, type up the Iowa power of attorney, and I grant my wife if I have a stroke and I can't say my name, or I'm kind of out of it, or I'm half gone, or maybe I'm going to be in surgery and I'm going to be incapacitated for a month or 2 weeks or overnight. Need to be some decisions made. She has power of attorney, and I have one for her. The same thing would happen to her. Power of attorney. Now, if your spouse is in the same thing, or if your spouse is in bad shape and you need to go find out about her car title, you can't, because if the car is just in her name, they're going to say, go get a power of attorney. There's so many things that you need to do if there are issues with the other person in your family that you will need a power of attorney. They're very, very easy to do. They're a power of attorney, so maybe your wife is, boy, she's really in bad shape. She's on the table at the hospital, and the doctor comes out and says, we don't know what's going to happen here. Not in good shape. Does anybody have life-sustaining power of attorney, advanced directives? And you could say, yes, I do. Here's a copy of it. It's right here on my phone. Or, yes, I do have power of attorney for her. I can get that, or maybe you're organized enough to have it with you. I'd put it on your phone, copy it on your phone, or, something like that, so you could show them at the hospital. A power of attorney is a big deal. Now, there's also general power of attorney. There's finance power of attorney. You can take over to manage your brother who can't seem to manage himself stuff. You can get a judge to agree that you have financial power of attorney for your brother, your sister, your parents, things like that. It's a major, major legal thing that you really, really need to investigate. So don't take this lightly. Well, Rex, why would we need that? Just for what I just said. You need power of attorney. If your wife has a bank account in her name, the Jane W. Smith or runaround fund account, and now she's not in good shape, and you need to transfer some of the money out of that account to somewhere else, you can't because it's not your money, it's hers. So look out for how you do business if you don't have power of attorney, and there's an issue with one of you. That is for sure. Well, last week I talked about the Jeeps, and I talked about the Jeeps and the grill on the Jeeps. You drive up and down the street, and you see 7 grill, I call them pillars, on the grill of any Jeep you want to see. But not these brand new ones, the Grand Cherokee, the great brand new one's only a couple years old. Not those great big ones, but the standard Jeep, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the Jeep Gladiators, all the other Jeep, you look at their grill, there are 7 slots in front of the radiator. 7. So my friend Jerry from Tiffin says to me, I saw him the other day, he says, last week you talked about the invention of the Jeep for World War II and the 7 grids on the front grill. And he says, I looked at my 2 Jeeps, and you're right. He said, I really hadn't paid much attention. But he said, but then, years ago, I heard that they stood for the 7 continents. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, I think that they may stand for the 7 continents. I said, well, I've never heard that. So back to the drawing board I went. And, Jerry, this is for you. It's also for my own information. I did a little work there. Originally, here was the deal. Is that just prior to World War II, the United States government put out a call for an all-terrain vehicle that must be handy, adroit, easy to maneuver in tight places, that go over rough spots and things like that, deal with some moisture, some water, blah, blah, blah. And 3 people responded, 3 groups responded. Ford, Overland Willys, Overland Willys, and Bantam. If you know what a Bantam is, it's kind of a 5/8 size Jeep, by the way. They submitted a plan. Now, here was the deal. So the government test drove them. My dad was down in boot camp in North Carolina, South Carolina, and he wrote back in a letter, said, well, we'll win the war with this thing called the Jeep. It's a history lesson. And he was right. So what happened was then the government says, okay, we like them, but we're going to need 80,000 of them with the initial order of 20,000. And Overland Willys, who actually got the bid, so we can't make that many. So they called old Henry Ford on the phone. He had the big plants, of course, up in Detroit. So Ford and Overland Jeep got into business, and they cranked them out, just a zillions of them for World War II. Well, everything went fine, as you might know, and Jeeps are still with us today. So one point in my history when we were married, I bought a CJ5, and nobody knows what the CJ5 means. Well, I do. Rex knows what CJ means. And here's what it is. Here's a big double secret, my last story about Jeeps for a while, probably. I have a Grand Cherokee, a 2016. It's a very nice vehicle. I drive it all the time, but only in the winter. Sits in my shop all summer long. It's only in the winter. It's a real nice vehicle. I love it. I think it's my 5th one. CJ stands for this. After the war, guys came home from the service, and they loved those Jeeps. Matter of fact, a guy in Corville, a grandpa, a friend of mine, his name was Gordon Dinsmore. And Gordon Dinsmore had a World War II Jeep. He was in World War I, but he got a hold of a World War II Jeep and drove it around Corville all the time. I don't know if he ever had a license plate on back in the day. I don't think anybody ever cared. But half the kids in Corville who hung around with the Dinsmore families, we all learned to drive on that Jeep, round and round and round over by the old Coral Trailer Court. It was battleship gray, and it looked like it had been in a couple battles. It probably was. Now, the family, the family still has that Jeep. It's down in Oklahoma. One of the boys has that Jeep. So, here's the deal. CJ, what's it stands for? After the war, they stopped making the Jeeps for the military. And they started making them for the public. And get this. You can write this down, Jerry. Here's the scoop. CJ stands for Civilian Jeep. So CJ5 was a civilian Jeep, is made for the public, made after World War II at some point. CJ means nothing more than civilian Jeep. Aha! Now you know the rest of the Jeep story. Isn't that fun? So there you go for your Jeep. So next time you're driving down the street, if you see any kind of a Jeep, on a regular Jeep, military Jeep, or those grills are straight up and down. On the ones like I have, the Grand Cherokees are on a curved, but it's all the same motif. There you go. Ha, ha, ha. I like stuff like that. Thanks for asking me, Jerry. Say, this last week, I stopped at and enjoyed product at 2 different lemonade stands. I did. And I made a U-turn on one of them. Nobody was coming, so I made a U-turn and turned down a little side street. And there were 2 young girls there having at it, selling that. So enjoyed that. It was $1.50, so I gave them a couple dollars tip. Asked them about their business plan, and it needed a little more water in it. I think it was country time, and it was okay. It was lemonade. No ice. It was warm. You get what you get, but I like talking to them. So don't ever drive past the lemonade stand as long as you can pull over safely. So, well, how about this quote for you today? I said, old age has come at a bad time. Just when I was beginning to know everything, I'm now forgetting everything. Isn't that the truth? Old age has come at a bad time. Just as I was beginning to know everything, I'm now forgetting everything. I think that's the truth. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great time to get out there. And, we live in a beautiful state. Iowa means beautiful land. And it is an absolute great time in this weather we've got going on here to get in the car. And don't even care where you're going to go. Just get on I don't mean a gravel. You can if you want. I don't. Get on a county road and drive somewhere. Drive to Muscatine the back way. Drive to Central City the back way. Not on the interstate. Drive up to Mount Vernon and go over to Tipton and come back through Rochester. Anything like that. We have a beautiful Iowa countryside. And this corn is about half up right now. And you can see it. It gets up any higher. You can't see half the thing. The beans are coming on. It's a beautiful state. And now is a great time to go. Maybe pack up a couple neighbors and just go for a ride. Remember going for a ride when you were a kid? We're going to go for a ride. It always, hopefully, when you're a kid, involved a root beer or an ice cream cone. I usually did. But that's what I suggest you do. You're retired. You don't have to be anywhere. No time. Get out of the darn house, out of the neighborhood. Go for a ride. I don't care if you wait till evening, whenever it's good, whenever it's handy for you. So knowing as a seniors that we are heading down that backstretch, I advise the following mindset for a senior. And that is to do all you can while you can. Whatever that is. You can walk, you can bike, you can canoe. By the way, some friends of mine, I got a note, friends of mine, classmates of mine, he and his wife, they gave their canoe to their daughter because they can no longer lift it, put it up into their pickup truck. So he said that we must be going to hell in a handbasket if we can't pick up our lightweight canoe. So there you go. So I just want you to think about do all you can while you can, whatever that is. It's a perfect time to do it. Lots going on. We got the big 4th of July coming up. It's a great time to get out, go to some ball games this summer in Iowa. Let's take advantage of it and have a good time doing it. All right. So I really want to say a 249th anniversary of our country. Thanks to all those men and women for the ideas they've had along the ways and the businesses they've started and perpetuated and things they've invented, and all of our military, all the men and women who have served and who are now serving. As we speak, they're over serving wherever it may be. So with that in mind, all you Legion members and people out there and veterans of foreign wars groups and people like that, thank you so much for your service. And July 4th, get out there and enjoy it. My salute to each and every one of you seniors. So thanks for listening to Senior Talk. You can call me anytime at 319-330-5534. I'm always around. Take care. We'll see you next time. So long.